never said I oppose fracking. Show the tape. Put it on your website. Put it on the website.
Live from Clark Studios in Rochester, New York. Broadcasting around the world. You're listening to You Made It Political, where the voice of the keyboard warrior is finally heard and the arguments presented are put to the political test. And now, here's your host, Matt Clark.
The American people have once again, for the millionth time this year, been royally screwed. It's getting so blatant and disgusting how poorly we've been treated. And once again, Congress sticks it to us with the joke of a stimulus bill that has been brought to the legislators late last night. $600 is what they propose to give to each American citizen as a thank you for dealing with the corruption, the lockdowns, the unconstitutional harassment that we have all continued to receive. And they think $600 is going to do the job. They've got another thing coming, and civil unrest is growing in America. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a serious outbreak in what I hope will not happen, but violence is on its way. The frustrations are building. People are without jobs. It's the holidays. They can't put food on the table. They can't buy their kids Christmas gifts. And our government tosses them crumbs. What a slap in the face to the American people. Out of the $908 billion package that was just put together, we're going to see a whole $100-odd billion of it, leaving $890 billion to go to other useless crap that none of us care about. Let's head over to Newsmax right now and listen to what they have to say and break down the insanity and the absurdity of such a poor and disgusting bill that's been brought forward.
Welcome to Rob Schmidt tonight. Just to give you some scale, $1 billion used to be a lot of money, but now we're throwing around trillions. And 1 billion seconds ago, it was 1988. But think about this, 1 trillion seconds ago was 32,000 years. Let all that percolate in your mind as I tell you the story of how we got to almost $1 trillion deal today. Months ago in the summer and the fall, Democrats wanted to spend $2.2 trillion on a second COVID package. The negotiations led, of course, by Nancy Pelosi. The Dems did not want to move an inch. And even at CNN, they knew exactly what Pelosi was up to. Take a look.
Let me read a line from the letter you wrote. The president only wants his name on a check to go out before Election Day and for the market to go up. Is that what this is all about? Not allow the president to take credit if there's a deal that will help millions of Americans right now?
He's not that important. But let me say this. With all due respect, and you know we've known each other a long time, you really don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I kind of did. Pelosi had no intention of agreeing to anything, even a dime, under that $2.2 trillion. For them, this was all politics. They didn't really care what people needed. They cared about winning, and they desperately needed to win against President Trump. Meanwhile, for the last 6 months, Republicans have been pushing for the exact bill that is being passed tonight. Here's Mitch McConnell today.
As far back as July and all autumn, Republicans have consistently supported a targeted package right in the ballpark of this total amount with exactly the same kinds of policies in the mix. So why did it take all this time? We know why. We've heard Democrats say openly they were not willing to deal all summer and fall, but are willing now because they have a president-elect of their own political party.
So Democrats had this bill. They had it offered months ago. And over the weeks, Republicans during the summer would come up a lot. The White House would offer $1.6 trillion, then come up even further to $1.8 trillion. Republicans gave way more than they wanted, hoping to get some kind of deal done for the people, nearly doubling their offer. Democrats wouldn't move an inch. They said no way. Pelosi would rather let Americans suffer than pass a bill that she couldn't take 100% of the credit for. But now that it's no longer politically useful to her, well, fine. Here, take your money, peasants. The Queen has now moved on to her next political game. So what exactly is in this $900 billion, 5,500-page bill? Well, it's got more unemployment benefits, $300 a week extra through March, also $600 stimulus checks for those making under $75K. But why couldn't Democrats have accepted this same bill all those months ago? Well, here's Nancy Pelosi today trying to save face.
We didn't do it. We couldn't pass legislation until now because the administration simply did not believe in testing, tracing, treatment, wearing masks, sanitation, separation, and the rest. Scientific approach.
That make any sense to you? Not to me. Pelosi made almost no sense explaining why it took several months to pass a bill Republicans were offering in the early summer. The truth is the election has now passed. The Democrats, along with the media and big tech, all worked very hard together to ensure victory for Joe Biden. And simply put, Pelosi doesn't care about this anymore. She can now endorse whatever is in this bill. But what exactly is in the bill, aside from what I just mentioned? Well, how about $700 million in economic support for Sudan? Because, of course, Sudan should be in an emergency COVID relief bill, right? $505 million to make Central American countries nicer. Now, think about it. That $500 million could have been used for $10,000 payments to 50,000 different small business owners in this country who are losing everything right now. But nah. And $50 million to women's leadership programs in foreign countries. $50 million. There are hundreds of pages like this in this 5,000-page bill. If you read the whole thing, it would make you sick. But you're not going to. They're counting on that.
So let's break this entire insanity down. We've just listened to Newsmax reporter kind of discuss how outrageous this situation is. But we didn't need Newsmax to tell you that. We've all been following this, and it's no wonder that there's such an uproar right now and why so many Republicans are screaming, veto this bill. Trump, do not sign this bill. It's a joke. It needs to be reworked. And here's the worst part. They have given Republican legislators 2 hours to review over 5,000 pages. Now, I'm obviously not an expert in political litigation, and especially when it comes to passing bills. But what I do know is that studying contracts as an entrepreneur myself and a business owner who've had to review plenty of contracts in the past, even a 20, 30-page contract is something that I would take a few hours to digest, or even a couple days. Granted, I could hire a lawyer to do that who might rip through it in 20, 30 minutes versus what I can do in a couple hours or a couple days. But we're asking legislators, lawmakers, to study and review 5,000 plus pages in 2 hours and hurry up and make a decision so we can throw crumbs to the American people for the holidays. So let's break this down. The reason that we have such an issue with Pelosi is because, first of all, we take a look at how Pelosi started this news report here. She tells Wolf that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Wolf is, regardless of what we think of CNN, Wolf is one of the most respected and trusted political journalists of our time. Wolf knows what he's talking about. For Nancy Pelosi to tell Wolf that he doesn't know what he's talking about is a slap in the face to him. It's inappropriate and it's completely unnecessary. It just goes to show the type of people that we're dealing with. She's condescending. She undermines Wolf's knowledge on the topic and slaps him in the face. This is the type of person that Nancy Pelosi has become. She's a disgrace. So she's fought Trump on this bill, okay? She's fought Trump and the Republicans in Washington on putting a deal together before the election. This thing's been going on since July. Why did they want to get a deal done before July? Because they didn't want Trump to take any of the credit. And she admits that. She knows, well, she didn't admit it, but we know that this is one of the biggest reasons. And this is what the Democratic Party has done this entire time leading up to the election. They allowed riots, looting, burning down cities, all to make the current administration look horrible. They didn't condemn any of it. And now we have this bill that we want to try to get a second stimulus package to the American people back in July, where Washington has come up on the price tag several times, but they didn't want to get it done. Why? Because Pelosi didn't want Trump to have any credit whatsoever. So why all of a sudden, after the election, we have Biden now ready to take office, why all of a sudden are they rushing to get this done so she could take 100% credit? It's as simple as that. It's been so blatantly obvious on how disgusting that the Democratic Party and Pelosi has treated this entire joke of a stimulus package. So now let's talk about the package itself. Let's actually talk about the absurdity and the insanity of this package. So as we can see here, amongst many things, I posted this morning on my Facebook fan page, which I leave wide open, by the way, to anybody who feels free to take a look. The American people are being used once again to sneak in a deal that benefits everyone except the American people. Listen, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, this should make you sick. We are trying to push through crumbs to the American people just so they can sneak through their other 5,000 pages worth of absolute BS that America does not need right now, especially as it's going to add so much to the debt. Republican lawmakers are urging President Trump to veto this bill, and rightly so. Why? Why do we want them to veto it? Well, let's take a look at what this bill actually calls for. Domestic funding, Kennedy Center, $26.4 million. Why do we need to put any money into these places? The Smithsonian, the National Art Gallery, $154 million. Right now, America is suffering. America can't eat. Every day, people lose their jobs. Every day, people are losing their homes. Eviction notices or eviction freezes are now up come January. We still have a pandemic that we have to deal with. People aren't being vaccinated for whatever reason, whether there's not enough doses or they're scared to be vaccinated. And we're worried about putting $1 billion into the Smithsonian. Who's running this country? What is going through their minds right now? Why do we keep voting in people who want to put money into this nonsense? Now let's take a look at foreign financial aid. Here's the reason why we are getting so little. Because we want to throw Egypt $1.3 billion. 1.3 billion. We want to throw Sudan 700 million. Ukraine 453 million. Look at the price tags on these countries. $700 million in economic support to Sudan. Why? When do we get to ask our politicians why? Why aren't the American people voting or at least having more of a say or influence on exactly what goes on with this money? If our government was a board of directors, they all would have been fired by now. And that's exactly what we need to do come re-election. These politicians need to be fired because clearly they do not know how to manage the American people's money. This is our money. This is our taxpayers' money that they are mismanaging. $505 million to restore Central American countries. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but our infrastructure is shattered. It is disgusting. You drive through some of these rural country areas throughout the United States, bridges are collapsing, roads, highways need to be paved, but we're more worried about throwing $505 million to Central American countries when America infrastructure is so badly cracked and damaged that we can't even afford to pave half of our city's roads. That $505 million, as they just reported, to put this into perspective, can go to 50,000 small business owners. We can give $10,000 to $50,000, $10,000 each. Sorry, we can give $10,000 payments to 50,000 small business owners. In the next 3 weeks, 10,000 more restaurants are going out of business. They are going out of business because we are locking them down. Why not give that money to these small business owners? If anything, it lets them pay their lease or keep their lights on, or says, we know we're locking you down. We know we are royally screwing you right now. Here's $10,000. We're not going to worry about Central America right now. We're going to take that $505 million and instead give it to you, 50,000 small business owners. Here's 10 grand each. Merry Christmas. Keep the lights on. We'll see you in February once we get this pandemic under control. Nope, we're going to throw it to countries like Israel, Nepal, Burma, Cambodia. Why are these countries even on? Why does this list even exist? It was nice for 4 years, enjoying America first. Trump doesn't even have one foot out the door yet. And already, politicians are rushing in to help everybody but America. So much for America first. $50 million to foreign women's leadership program. I'm all for women. I'm all for supporting them. I think it's great. We've had the most women rise to Congress this year. I think it's phenomenal. I think women are in power alongside us are great for this country. But why foreign women? What does America have to gain by giving $50 million in foreign aid to women's leadership program? So now let's take a look. Way down at the bottom, the American people. Here's your crumbs. You voted for us. We're in power. Just as long as you keep voting for us, that's all that matters. Well, this will be the last time the likes of Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and all the other washed up politicians remain in office. And if we vote for these people again, you know the saying, shame on me again, my fault. So now we've got $600 going to the American people, plus $300 in unemployment per week, extra COVID pay through March. That's another thing that we're going to do here. $300 extra unemployment pay. Why do we have to keep giving unemployment COVID bonus pay to the unemployed? All that's going to do is exactly what it did before. It's going to encourage more people to go back into unemployment, which, by the way, guess what was not in the bill? Mandated leave